her parents reported her missing. It was right around 6:30 p.m.
110-110 Ben Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in, advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
On June 15th, 2021, 5-year-old Summer Wells disappeared from her home in Beach Creek, Tennessee. One moment, she was playing near the house. Minutes later, she was gone. For years have passed, and not a single trace of her has ever been found. No body, no suspect, no explanation. What shocked many wasn't just her disappearance, but how quickly the case went cold. The timeline from her family never quite fit. Statements changed. Search dogs lost their scent just a few steps from the basement. This isn't just a missing child case. It's a story full of shadows. Too many questions, too few answers. Was this a moment of panic turned secret? Before we begin, we need to go back to the house on Ben Hill Road, to the people who lived there, and to the day everything changed. Understanding what happened to Summer Wells starts not with wild theories, but with the world she came from, who she was, where she lived, and what was said in those first crucial hours. Summer Moon Utah Wells was 5 years old, small, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and known for being playful, fearless, and full of energy. She lived in a remote rural home with her father, Don Wells, her mother, Candace Bly, her 3 older brothers, and her maternal grandmother. The house was isolated. No visible neighbors, limited cell reception, and no security cameras. According to her mother's version, Summer had been outside helping her grandmother plant flowers. Candace left Summer for just 2 minutes to check on the boys inside. When she returned, Summer was gone. Despite a massive effort that scoured over 5,000 acres, no trace of Summer was ever found. Not a single item of clothing, not a footprint, not even a scent trail beyond the basement area, where it stopped abruptly. This void, a chilling silence from the forest, is where the mystery begins. Among the many theories surrounding the disappearance of Summer Wells, one of the most enduring is also the most tragic, that she died accidentally and those closest to her chose to hide the truth. This theory centers on panic, guilt, and the instinct to protect oneself. Contradictory accounts emerged about Summer's day. One source claimed Summer went underwater at a swimming hole and had to be pulled out. The infamous TikTok video of Summer lying limp in the back seat, resting against milk jugs, was later posted. To some, this was a chilling timestamp, proof that she was okay during the ride home, a calculated anchor for a story that was being reshaped. The central 2-minute story remains implausible. It's too short a window for a quiet abduction, and yet the search dogs lost their scent just outside the house. This suggests either a swift removal by vehicle or that she never left the house alive. The 3 older brothers were reportedly inside the house watching TV when Summer vanished. If she disappeared within feet of them, why didn't they hear or see anything? The TBI soon removed Summer's 3 brothers from the home, sending a clear message. This was not a safe place. The behavior of the parents also raised concerns. The lack of coordinated messaging combined with previous legal issues and ongoing inconsistencies has made it difficult for the public and investigators to fully trust the narrative. In the days after Summer disappeared, Don was emotional but inconsistent, lashing out at critics. Candace was notably subdued. Critics pointed out that she didn't exhibit what most would call a normal reaction. No visible panic, no urgency, no desperate calls for help. This blend of chaos and silence suggests the cover-up began long before the 911 call. If the truth was buried in panic, shame, or fear, then the search outside will never matter, because the real tragedy ended before the police even arrived. The scent trail ends near the basement door, reinforcing the idea that she did not venture far on her own or left by another means. From the very first night, Don and Candace Wells insisted that Summer had been abducted. The basis for the second theory, they pointed to the report of a red Toyota Tacoma seen in the area. The fact that the vehicle has never been located or identified continues to fuel the investigation. The secluded nature of the house and the easy access via the basement door could fit the profile of a quick, calculated snatch, possibly for trafficking, a theory supported by the lack of a ransom demand. The silence makes it chilling. No demands, no sightings, no evidence. The absence of a ransom demand is particularly troubling. A more disturbing possibility is that the cause of Summer's disappearance was rooted in ongoing domestic abuse. Don Wells' criminal background includes multiple arrests for domestic violence, use of stimulants, and driving under the influence. Candace once filed a protection order against him, claiming he threatened them with a firearm, though the order was withdrawn shortly afterward. This pattern aligns with what many experts see in cycles of abuse. Shortly after Summer's disappearance, Child Protective Services removed her 3 brothers from the home. While no official reason was made public, it was a telling move. Neither parent has offered a consistent narrative. Contradictions abound in the timing and order of events. The theory of domestic abuse does not rely on a smoking gun, but on patterns, behavioral inconsistencies, prior criminal behavior, the removal of other children, and emotional detachment. Don frequently appeared in YouTube live streams, often late at night, sometimes drinking, and occasionally speaking in a cryptic or aggressive tone. He once said that someone could easily dispose of a body in the woods. If Summer was hurt in her own home, and those responsible chose silence over justice, the search must shift inward. As the case unfolded, yet another possibility emerged, that the family may not have acted alone, but may have been assisted, coerced, or manipulated by a third party. This theory suggests someone close to the family or familiar with their circumstances played a role in the disappearance. The motivation for such an act could vary: fear of exposure for an unrelated issue, financial desperation, or even blackmail. One particularly unsettling suggestion is that Summer might have been exchanged to repay a debt. This gained traction due to the family's financial struggles and Don's criminal history, including associating with untrustworthy individuals. Candace's behavior also raised eyebrows. In one televised appearance, she walked away abruptly when the topic of human trafficking was brought up. The concept of the cornbread mafia, a term referring to a loosely connected organized crime group in rural Appalachia, was also introduced, suggesting underground networks could exploit a vulnerable situation. If there was a planned exchange, it could have occurred in that narrow window when Candace claimed to have gone inside for 2 minutes. A coordinated handoff wouldn't require a long time, just the right opportunity. Furthermore, the family may have been manipulated or threatened. If a third party had influence over Candace or Don, it could explain their inconsistent behavior, their unwillingness to name suspects, and their fixation on only one theory: abduction. Law enforcement has neither confirmed nor denied the possibility of third-party involvement, but the absence of arrests, coupled with the removal of the other children from the home, suggests that investigators believe something was amiss inside the house or close to it. The third-party collusion theory offers an unsettling middle ground. It suggests that the disappearance wasn't spontaneous nor entirely domestic, but the result of a series of desperate choices made under pressure. A theory far more unsettling has taken root: that the failure to solve this case is not merely due to a lack of evidence, but because of a deliberate cover-up or severe mishandling by authorities. The first public cracks emerged through the TBI silence. For months, they released very little information, and critics saw this as suspicious. Online speculation was warned against, leading some to ask, why attempt to silence independent voices unless they were hitting too close to the truth? Concerns were raised over the timing of the investigation, as it took days for investigators to fully secure and process the Wells property. By then, any potential forensic evidence could have been lost. Furthermore, the initial 911 call made by Candace has never been publicly released, despite common practice in other missing child cases. The absence of arrests, combined with the removal of the other children, only fuels the belief that institutions may have failed. At its core, this theory is fueled not just by mistrust, but by desperation. As the case went cold, the internet became a digital wildfire, dividing into 2 camps: the logical sleuths on Reddit, who sought truth through pattern recognition, and emotional accusers on Facebook, who delivered immediate, often personal judgment. The desire to find truth sometimes crossed into obsession, turning suspicion into harassment and ultimately impacting the official investigation by flooding tip lines with misinformation. In the absence of real evidence, perception became its own kind of proof. The Summer Wells case shows just how fast the internet can become a courtroom, but in this courtroom, there are no judges, only opinions. It has now been over 4 years since Summer Wells vanished. 4 years of questions without answers. What remains most disturbing is that not a single piece of confirmed evidence has emerged. No suspect has been charged. No remains have been found. And of more than 6,500 tips received by law enforcement, none has led to a breakthrough. How does a 5-year-old child disappear in broad daylight from her own home without a trace? This question haunts not only those who followed the case, but also those closest to Summer. It is the mystery at the heart of the investigation. The terrain of Beach Creek was rugged, dense woods, steep slopes, and ravines. If Summer had wandered off, search teams, including K-9 units, thermal imaging and drones, combed over 5,000 acres, yet found not a single footprint or piece of clothing. The forest did not give up any secrets. The silence has become its own form of obstruction, a wall that neither public outrage nor private investigation has yet been able to breach. Many believe the answer lies close to home, that someone somewhere knows what happened and has chosen silence, whether out of fear, guilt, loyalty, or trauma. Hope is the only thing that keeps a case like this alive, but hope must be paired with action. We cannot let Summer become just another cold case. We must keep her story alive, not as entertainment, but as a plea for truth. If you've seen something, say something. The smallest tip could be the thread that unravels a knot of silence. Until then, we will not stop asking what happened to Summer Wells. She deserves to be found. She deserves justice. She deserves to come home. Let's not allow this silence to become the final chapter. Let's keep looking. Let's keep the light on.